What's happening, guys? It's your boy TC back with another video. So just before we get started with this video, I just want to say thanks a lot to everyone who subscribed to this channel. We've reached 5,000 subscribers, and without you guys, the subscribers out there, we wouldn't actually reach this landmark. So thank you very, very much, and the continued support is definitely appreciated. So let's just jump straight into this particular video. So we're talking about the summer transfer budget this early on into the season, and I believe this is an unwanted distraction. Let it be off the pitch matters, but it's an unwanted distraction really, in my personal opinion. So where this story stems from really is the basis of Sten Kroenke is now the sole owner of Arsenal Football Club. The club is no longer owned by some shareholders. Of course, at one point he was the majority shareholder, but previously there was a number of shareholders that would have been involved with the club or had a stake in the club. But the other majority shareholder, as we all know, that was Usmanov, and his chunk was definitely bought out recently by Sten Kroenke. So reports are starting actually to surface, and basically reports are suggesting that Arsenal yet again will have £40 million to spend in the summer, and of course it's something that you have to take with a pinch of salt. I believe that these reports are basically out there or being put out there to derail the team, the momentum that we have. We've got this spoken about agenda by the press to derail Arsenal by any means necessary, let it be through negative press. And sometimes really, even if the team are performing well, you don't hear a lot about it from the press. You don't hear the press running and writing about it, raving about it, even on prominent TV shows such as Match of the Day. You had Alan Shearer recently, and he was still very critical of Arsenal, and I don't get it really personally. So I do believe that these reports do tend to come out just to sort of try and derail what the club is trying to achieve or what the club is doing. Where this agenda stemmed from, I haven't got a clue. Why this is actually taking place, or why it does take place. So we find ourselves in a very good position in terms of the morale, the results on the pitch, and basically the chemistry around the club is just a very good chemistry that we find ourselves having at the moment. The atmosphere is absolutely magnificent. The fans are not bickering and arguing as we were last season on social media platforms, within the grounds of the stadium itself, as well as on other prominent football-based YouTube channels. So of course, as mentioned, reports are suggesting that there will be £40 million to spend again in the summer, and these actually stem from the fact that as Sten Kroenke is now the majority shareholder, or is the sole owner of the club, the yearly meeting with shareholders no longer takes place. So this is a huge change moving forward. This wasn't the case a few years back. We're talking about 10-15 years ago. This wouldn't have been the case. Each year there would have been a shareholder meeting that would have been held, and some of those shareholders would have included fans. But now, since Sten Kroenke is the majority shareholder of the club, this doesn't have to take place. He can choose not to have a meeting on an annual basis, and he can just scrap that whole idea. And you found at times that these meetings turned to be a bit volatile, where some of the shareholders were avid fans of the club who had the best interest of the club at heart, and they would have been going out there to voice their personal opinions and let that personal opinion be known to the guys at the top, such as Sten Kroenke, Usmanov, etc. But this is no longer the case. So shareholder meetings are now scrapped as far as I'm aware, and Arsenal would usually release the club's accounts ending of that particular year. So for example, this year they would have released accounts ending of May 2018 by now, and we would have known what the club finances are lying like in terms of what we have to spend, what we've made, the turnovers, etc., wage bills and all that sort of stuff would have been available to the public domain through this process that used to take place as late as last season. But again, that's no longer the case. So a group of accountants that actually advise the Arsenal Supporters Trust have actually gone ahead and made projections in terms of what the finances could be moving into next summer. And these findings really, in terms of their research and the number crunching, etc., don't make of good reading. That's where this £40 million figure have been plucked from. So it seems as if, yes, there's a basis to this, but it's not written in concrete, it's not set in stone, it's not something that's going to be a definite. I believe it's way too early in the year for us to know how much the club will have to spend in the summer. And these projections do take into account the club's significant wage bill, which certainly was increased by Mesut Ozil signing a new contract, the introduction of Aubameyang to the team. But in the current climate, in the footballing climate at the moment, if you want to compete, if you want to stay at a high level, I believe that this is necessary. Of course, I understand the club is still a business that needs to be run and turning over a profit and not running into a loss, which could in turn make the club end up running into trouble. But there's that element of wanting to compete. This is a sport that people that own the club, or Stan Kroenke, is involved in a competitive business. It's not going to be a retail-like business where you can certainly tighten the belts and still manage to turn over a profit, and it doesn't really matter what happens after that. This is a club that has a rich history. It's got avid fans who support this club week in, week out, and it is a very, very competitive market or industry that is certainly involved in. And another really addition to these projections is it takes into account the loss of revenue that we have suffered in the last 2 seasons from dropping out of the Champions League. Again, yes, a significant loss in finances, but we don't know. No one will really know what the actual owner will decide to do. He may decide to plough in a little bit more money on top of these projected figures, and we could probably end up with a war chest of about £100 million, £120 million again. So no one really knows. Of course, this may be based on facts, based on the numbers, etc., but it's unforeseen really, so it can't be determined now at this point in the season. And another point really, that it is believed that the situation will eventually improve once we obviously sign the new sponsorship deal, or once it kicks in with Adidas. So again, that completely throws that theory of that £40 million out of the window. So it's an extremely puzzling sort of piece of press that the media is running with in terms of Arsenal having this £40 million to spend in the next summer. It's completely unjustified. We don't know what the actions the owner is going to take. We don't know how much, well, we do know how much the Adidas deal will certainly be bringing in, but we don't know for sure exactly how much it will be. It might be less, it might end up being slightly more than anticipated. But again, ridiculous bits of press floating around in regards to this summer transfer budget. But please do let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, please do make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. So once again, guys, it's your boy TC from I'm Gonna Talk TV, and I'm out.